How's it, Bills Mafia? Lance Nelson, president of Built in Buffalo. To my left, co founder, A. Rich, Akeem Richens. To my right, Benjamin Shoop. The Bills tackled the Kansas City Chiefs last week, brought them down. Myself and Scott were wrong on picking the Chiefs, and for that, I don't apologize, but we had to go with our guts there, and I'm glad we were wrong. Glad we were wrong. So we're going on to a much different opponent here in Week 10. Sup, Shoop?
Not so much. Just getting ready for this game against the Dolphins. Great game this past week, but still a lot of work to do. Still things to improve on, even though it was a great win. Can't play down to Miami this week. Can't ride that high for too long. If you're the Bills, got to keep it level and say we still got to get better. So excited to see how they come out this week. Hopefully they still come out with the same energy as they did against Kansas City.
Speaking of energy, Built in Buffalo, proud sponsor, Monster Energy Drink, the official energy partner of Built in Buffalo. How you feeling tonight, A-Rich? Muted or something, bro.
I do that often, at least once a show. Hey, Rich, Akeem Richens. Appreciate you for having me on the show, Lance. Appreciate that. I feel good, man. I feel good. Honestly, the game was surprising to me a little bit, right? I think y'all had Kansas City winning. It was surprising to me the way we played. We've played with a lot more resistance than we saw all season. We've played with a more physical nature on the defensive side of the ball. We saw it in our safety play. We saw it in our D-line play. So it was an impressive victory to say the least. But like Ben said, it's still a long way to go. It's still a lot of things to clean up.
Yeah, for sure. And shout out to our other sponsor, 716 Barbershop on Broadway in Depew. Go ahead over to the Cut app. You could scan this QR code and book your cut with Dennis or one of his other barbers today. Again, 716 Barbershop, Broadway in Depew on the Cut app. Go check them out. This great fades if you're looking for one. I think I'm going to grow out for Movember here, so I might not get a cut this month, but I have to hit them up for sure once December rolls around. So the Chiefs game, man, was super exciting. Had my mom out, obviously Shoop and Scott, who's typically here and now in Mexico. We're at the tailgate at the Big Tree Inn. Shout out to those guys. And had a great party over there with Southern Tier as well. And it was an exciting atmosphere, man. I think that we saw some things change. We saw a lot of things change from what people said the Bills could do or were going to do, and I think it kind of hopefully re-energized some of the fan base. Maybe not all of it, but certainly, people posted, "Oh, are we back?" It's like, dude, we were always here. It's just you got to have a little faith and understand it is a week by week league, and you're not going to be perfect in every facet every week. And that's what this fan base expects of the team now is to go out and execute and go undefeated, apparently, and that's fair. But I think we saw what the Bills could do, and they played to the best of their ability for the most part against the Chiefs here. My biggest reactions, my biggest takeaways was Dalton Kincaid. Obviously had a big game, led the team in receiving there with a 100-yard performance. And then, we obviously took another blow on the defensive line, Michael Hoyt going out. But, man, Michael Hoyt, you saw all the energy and everything that we've talked about leading up to his return to this team, and for him to go out but still stick around on the sideline. He still was able to function somehow during that play after popping his Achilles. Just a real dog, Michael Hoyt. And I just want to say, that's one of the things I took away. On the defensive line also, one of the things that I really noticed was, I think it was Dorian Williams came around and just smacked the tackle of the Kansas City Chiefs as they ran like a stunt play for I believe it was Bosa to go on the inside, but I don't remember the exact players here in this play. But it just the intensity. The point is the intensity of the pass rush was ramped up. The one thing I've been saying all year is it seems like when people are blitzing and trying to come from the second level, that they were just sitting there playing patty cake in the line of scrimmage with the offensive linemen. And this game, the team got upfield. They kind of switched up their their scheme a little bit and kind of switched up their intensity too, which I thought Michael Hoyt was going to bring from the beginning, and he certainly did. And unfortunately, between Ed Oliver and Michael Hoyt, two guys we saw very successful in the short time we had with those two on the field together, and now both of them are going to be missing for the year. So really good performances. What other performances do you guys, Shoop, we could start with you. What other performances, if you want to comment on Hoyt or Kincaid, certainly do that, but what other performances did you note really in your reaction to the KC game?
Well, first of all, I do want to say, because being at the game, I looked to my cousin, even first or second drive, I look back at him and he sits right behind me, and I even just said, like, the stadium's always loud, but it just felt like it was louder that game than I've heard in a long time. Like, again, it's always one of the loudest stadiums in the league, but man, Bills Mafia showed up, was making it real hard for Kansas City there, and they were loud. And you even saw it sometimes even with the defense, with the Bills defense, that they were kind of trying to get on the same page, but because of the noise, they were also kind of struggling. But yeah, so first I just want to say that it was a loud game. They were making it hard for them. But the two guys I want to highlight first, Cole Bishop. Cole Bishop, man, I mean, he was a guy that I know last year people had high expectations for. Kind of struggled a little bit up and down. This beginning of this season had, again, some up and downs. But with a different safety, I know, Taylor Rapp had a good year last year. This year, though, he was really struggling. And it was evident on the field. And I think seeing now the Poyer and Hancock kind of mix in there, on first early downs, you see Poyer. Third down, you really see Hancock. I really think that's made a huge difference for Cole Bishop, and he had a heck of a game against Kansas City. Should have had a pick on one of the plays that I believe that him and Cam Lewis switched last minute. They switched it, and Cole Bishop came flying across the field, made a big play on third down. So he was
reading that all the way across, following the motion guy, and came down and took a huge route at the ball, and just very, I don't know how he didn't think maybe he was going to get there or something, or he just, it was a very strange breakup, but I'm glad he got his fingers on it for sure.
Yeah, that was one that I thought maybe he had a chance to come down with. But it wasn't even just like the stat sheet. Yeah, he had 4 passes defense, he had a tackle for loss. Even just the eye test, you can kind of see he's really starting to play some good football. So he's one. And Maxwell Hairston, again, getting his first pick. I know that he's still getting kind of eased in. He's not playing every single drive, every single down. But, man, I think it's just that energy, again, is being brought to the defense. The secondary was a huge concern 4 weeks ago, and now with Cole Bishop playing better, with Hairston coming back, I think you're starting to see the confidence level in the secondary go up. Jordan Poyer is helping lead the secondary as well, even though he's not on the field every down. So those are the two guys that I wanted to point out that they're really, again, that's why you don't want a GM that wants to make those sudden moves or those panic moves 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, everybody was saying, you need a corner, you need a safety, you need a corner, you need a safety. And now it's like they're playing really good football, and there's other needs that obviously we'll get to about the trade deadline that they thought they should have went after. But again, it's a long season. Some of these guys do take a few weeks to get going. Cole Bishop and Maxwell Hairston are stepping up right now and kind of giving that boost that the defense needs.
Yeah, it's probably a multitude of things, but definitely, switching out Rapp there with Poyer and Hancock platoon, and then also the return of Max Hairston definitely gave Cole Bishop some new energy. You can see that for sure. Had four receptions against him on 9 targets against him for 75 yards and allowed a 73.8 rating according to NFL Pro here. So very good game for Rapp. I thought it was certainly something that, for Bishop. I thought it was something that worth highlighting, so appreciate you highlighting that. And again, I don't know what he was doing on that one play. He should have had an interception, no doubt. And what do you think, Rich? First of all, what do you think about the return of Hairston, the platooning of Poyer and Hancock, and how that kind of helps everybody else around the secondary?
I love it, man. I love the impact, the instant impact for Maxwell Hairston, right? We're talking about a kid that is a rookie who didn't play any significant snaps throughout the season, and we implement him at the last game, and he made an impact against the Carolina Panthers, showing that he has some willingness to tackle on that play against Joe Horn Jr. Then this week, you saw him run stride for stride with Xavier Worthy, and everybody talks about how fast Xavier Worthy is, and Maxwell Harrison was right there. So the athleticism in the back end stood out to me with Cole Bishop and Maxwell Harrison and even Jordan Hancock, who was a pretty athletic dude himself. And then when you throw in a guy like Cam Lewis, who I think was one of the unsung heroes of the game and can play all defensive back positions, I think it was great to see athleticism in the back end for the Buffalo Bills. So that was exciting. Also, unpredictability in the offensive scheme. Joe Brady has been getting a lot of pushback on his scheme being predictable, on his downfield passing. I think he showed unpredictability against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he showed a willingness to throw down the football field. I thought he did well in scheming guys open. I even liked, even though I would love him to compound on that, the third and short play when the Buffalo Bills needed a first down. He had James Cook go out to the flat and make that catch, schemed him open. That was an excellent play call in that situation. So I really like what I've seen from Joe Brady in his offensive scheme calling and not being afraid to continue to implement his identity. Right? The Kansas City Chiefs coming into this game didn't allow a 100-yard rushing in 27 straight games. So for the Buffalo Bills to come out now and James Cook to rush the ball and have the success that he did and show his dominance, and for the trenches to show their physicality, it was something great to see. But again, it's the regular season, right? The Kansas City Chiefs, they usually, I know a lot of us will talk about Joe Brady, and we talk about it in our group chat that, hey, Joe Brady's holding stuff back, or the Bills may be holding stuff back. The Kansas City Chiefs, for sure, I know is holding stuff back. Because every year during the playoffs, you see some stuff they run that we haven't seen during the season, right? So right. I'm happy with what we've seen, and hopefully we could continue that positive trajectory and continue to mix things up and be unpredictable as an offense.
I do want to say as well, yeah, you're 100% right, Akeem. They definitely have stuff that they have prepared for the playoffs that they're not going to show. But I was shocked that they did show some of the stuff that they did as well. Like it was that thought of like, yeah, they'll have stuff that they're not going to show, but at the same time, like that 4th and 17, the fact that they showed that fake screenplay, that's a play that I thought, yeah, they might save for the playoffs,
right?
So that Bose is not ready or thinking of it. So it is fun to see. It was fun to see both teams kind of getting a little bit deeper, still not showing everything, but getting a little bit deeper in their offensive playbooks. You saw Joe Brady do it. You saw Andy Reid do it. So, yeah, there'll still be things that when it comes to playoff time, they're going to have to be ready for. Kansas City might have to get into it a little bit early if they can't just start squeaking out some wins in a row here. But I mean, I think you both would agree with me that they'll find a way to string some wins together and make it into the playoffs. But yeah, it was good. It was a cool time to see the game. I think that's the game where you're starting to see teams kind of get a little bit more deeper into their playbooks, show things, really start to put pressure on, and everybody's starting to really kind of gel together. So Bills did a good job handling what they had to do, and like I said earlier, now it's on Miami where you can't let up. You got to go in and continue to show that you're not going anywhere, and this division is going to be a good race to the end, because I do think New England as well, since their schedule is what it is, it will be a good race to see, and could come down to that game in New England.
Yeah, for sure. I guess just real quick, impromptu, what do you guys think about Kansas City making the playoffs? Do you think they make it or not?
Yeah, I like I said, I just, especially with how the AFC is right now, I think some teams will fall off, and Kansas City, even though they lost this game, were really starting to play good football. And I don't think, you'll see a 5 for 34 or 15 for 34 out of Mahomes too often. So they'll find a way. They'll get in, and they'll get back to what we've seen the last 3-4 weeks before this Bills game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be interesting, because if I was surprised that the Steelers beat the Colts this past weekend, right? Because before then, I'm thinking, hey, the Ravens have a shot to win the division. But if the Steelers, they got some guys in the trade deadline, they looked as if, at least for that game, they patched or made some adjustments. So I think the Baltimore Ravens are getting healthy at 3-5 right now, and the Kansas City Chiefs at 5-4, both on the outside looking in. I think one of those teams may miss the playoffs. So I think it's going to be interesting coming down the stretch.
Yeah, I don't know that there's much of a chance of them missing. Right now, they're behind Jacksonville by percentage points here, having played 9 games to Jacksonville playing 8. And if you're telling me who I've got in a dog race between the Jaguars and the Chiefs down a stretch, I'm going to go with the Chiefs every day. But yeah, it's definitely close. They don't have a lot of room for error anymore. But the AFC isn't super great, so it's just sort of one of those things where you have a little leeway because of that.
But let me read the schedule for the Kansas City Chiefs, and maybe that would change your mind. Right? They have a bye week this week. Then coming off the bye, they play the Denver Broncos. They at Denver. Then they're versus Indianapolis. Then they're at Dallas versus Houston versus the Chargers, at the Titans versus the Broncos, and at the Raiders. So I don't think it's a easy schedule by any means.
Yeah, it's not easy, but you know what? It's sort of convenient for them to get Denver on the road after a bye week because they're just very good at
Denver does play tonight, so even though they have a bye week for Kansas City, Denver does get that 11-day break there. So
right.
it does help a little, but I mean, I think if they
22-4 for Andy Reid teams off the bye, that's going to be tough sledding for Denver.
I do think though, if they win one of the next 2, they'll be fine. If they win against Denver or Indy, they'll be fine. If they drop both of them, then it's going to be a real interesting conversation of, hey,
absolutely.
They play Tennessee or whatever, but they still have games like divisional games can go anyway. Denver plays them hard a lot. It does seem like Denver's defense is more that type of defense that can really get after Mahomes. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, time for the 7-1 Slicker of the Week. I'm going to give it to Michael Hoyt this week again, and he got it last week, but I'm going Michael Hoyt as your 7-1 Slicker of the Week because he is just that dog. He only had a half a sack, didn't play all that many snaps, had a couple tackles against KC, but all the guts and everything that he showed at the time he got injured going through the rest of that play and then getting off the field and staying on the sideline throughout the whole thing. So Michael Hoyt's going to be maybe not honorary, but let's say he's my 7-1 Slicker of the Week here just because he does all the right things and really showed a ton of toughness. So 7-1 Slicker of the Week is presented by 716 Barbershop. As I said before, head over to the Cut app and get with Dennis and his crew to get yourself a nice fade or haircut. Dennis does nice things in the community too, giving folks free cuts back to school and all this different stuff. So really great dude, and I appreciate his support here in partnership with us this season. The trade deadline came, guys. Trade deadline came over here, and we saw Brandon Beane try to do some things and fail. Now, I'm not angry overall about the Bills not doing anything. They sort of, this whole rebuild process that they're in, getting dead money out, off their cap space and things like that. They have to go through some of these trials and tribulations. They're not going to be huge buyers right now, and it's tough to see because Philadelphia just seems like they can buy every year somehow and whatever. That's Howie Roseman's philosophy, and that's how he wants to do things. But I'm sure at some point the bill's going to become due. Now you got Terry Pegula as the owner. We're building a new stadium. He's got his wife with some health issues and things coming off of that cardiac arrest years ago, and you just don't know how willing he is to continue to push this stuff down the road and continue to spend money as well. So you have other constraints other than Brandon Beane, and they just didn't get a deal done at the end of the day. I would have loved to see them add something, but we do have to understand that this isn't Madden, and this does have to you do have to work within the constraints of a cap, and I think Brandon Beane's going to be very much cognizant of what he does now and how that impacts the future. So not going to mortgage the future there. Roy, let me know in the comments. I just turned my gain down on my mic. See if it sounds better for you, bro. Appreciate that comment. But what do you guys think? What are your overall thoughts about the trade deadline? Was there a move out there that you say, oh, we had to have this guy? Was there something that you guys really thought the Bills needed, or do you think it could still, still have success with the roster? I know we had D linemen out and things like that, but overall for me, I just really think that this team was built in a certain way, and they're going to keep with their philosophy. So I'm not angry, and I'm pretty excited for the rest of the year. I still think the Bills have a hell of a chance to win the title. But Keem, what are your thoughts on that trade deadline and seeing the Bills not be able to make a move?
Did I want the Buffalo Bills to make a move? Absolutely. Am I mad the Buffalo Bills didn't make a move? No, not at all. I'm not mad at the Buffalo Bills. It takes two to tango, right? It takes two to tango. And, Brandon Beane is, despite of how we feel about, how much money we have or how much draft picks we have or who we hit on or missed on, he's a smart guy. And this is, we have to look at everything. We can't look at other seasons and say, hey, Brandon Beane, he traded in years past, he's going to make something happen this season. I think, the situation is different. When we traded for Kelvin Benjamin several years back, right? We was able to do that because we had the draft capital flexibility to do so. When we traded Marcel Darius and Sammy Watkins, and you get a plethora of picks. When we got Rasul Douglas a couple of years back, we was able to do so because we have multiple third-round picks. This year, we don't have that same draft capital, and we don't have the salary cap flexibility to make certain moves. Would I have liked to seen a guy like Rashid Shaheed on the team? Absolutely. He has some speed and some dynamic to his game, but a fourth and a fifth for essentially a 2-month rental is probably too much in Bean's eyes. And I can't say I blame him, because I think we have similar guys that we just didn't tap into their full potential yet. I believe Eli Moore is as explosive as a Rashid Shaheed or even a Curtis Samuel. If he can stay healthy and be consistent on the football field, I think he has some explosiveness to his game as well. So I'm not mad at it, because we do have some, in my opinion, untapped potential there, that with players that are playing. And also we have players that are coming back that's going to bolster the roster as well, right? We talked about Joshua Palmer. He had that play action against Atlanta, and he had that big completion, and that could have been the start to something before he got hurt, right? We have TJ Sanders coming back hopefully sooner rather than later. We have Daquan Jones coming back hopefully sooner rather than later. So I believe Brandon Beane wanted to make a move, but I also, in hindsight, think that, okay, as a general manager, I don't have the same cap flexibility that I've had in years past when I made moves. And I think we have some guys that's not available to us at this second, but will be available to us later in the year, and they can impact the game and take up, possibly make up for a Micah Hoyt or Ed Oliver and those guys. So would I like to make a move or seen a move happen? Absolutely. Am I mad? Absolutely not. I believe we do have some players in place still to make a run at this thing.
Yeah, Akeem, I think you pretty much nailed it right there. I mean, it's one of those things where it's funny to see the different reactions throughout, Bills Mafia of creators and film watchers, everybody had different thoughts and different feelings on it, even though I think the general thought process is, at the end of the day, it does take two teams to make a deal. And I think, we saw the Calvin Ridley reports that maybe that was the guy that they were really going after, a proven vet, a good guy. My guess is contract became an issue, them trying to work that part out. I mean, Bean mentioned that it was over weeks that they've been talking about this. So if Calvin Ridley is the guy, then my guess is they were trying to figure out what's going to happen with the contract once he gets here, because it is a hefty contract that if he would have came over here. So, I'm in a similar boat where it's like I would have liked to, but again, I'm not pounding the table and saying that it's horrible that he didn't, and this is a failure on him. I do think that yes, if a higher end player would have gotten moved, that might have changed my thoughts. Like if a Brian Thomas Jr. got traded, or if I know it probably was out of the realm of possibilities, and Bean kind of mentioned it, that the Jets and Dolphins weren't gonna weren't going to deal with them, that if a Waddle or Garrett Wilson got traded to another AFC team, that would have been different where, yeah, then you can say, well, he should have went and got a Brian Thomas Jr. or should have went and got an Olave, but those guys didn't get moved. And oftentimes I think people do forget NFL teams aren't just going to trade guys away just because they think it will down the road be better if they can't get the deal they want. They are going to try to get the deal they want. And if the Saints don't trade Olave, that's them either saying we want to keep him or nobody's coming close to what we can offer or what we want as an offer. So, yeah, if it was higher end players getting traded, yeah, I'd be more upset. Shaheed was the guy that, yeah, I would have liked. Myers would have liked. But again, are they those guys that are going to get you over the hump? No, they're not. Like, they might be able to make big plays for you and help you out, but is that really, if that's the difference between winning and losing, then at least for the Bills, I think there'd be bigger problems if that type of player, like you already have a lot of guys that are wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3s. Is adding another guy like that going to really change much? I personally did not think so. Defensive line, you could have made a better argument that, hey, they just need to go get a body, but I think they like who's in that room. I think they like how people are playing, even with the Hoyt injury. And you even saw, you saw other teams like Kansas City not pull the trigger on a trade for a guy like Breece Hall, where it's like these guys, these teams are saying, hey, we're not going to give up more than we think that we should. And other teams that are trading guys are saying, well, we want what we want, and that's it. So I was kind of surprised by the reaction of Bills Mafia over guys like Rashid Shaheed and Jacoby Myers. Like, again, you can say, oh, if another bigger guy got traded, yeah, they should have went and got him. But again, like Lance said, it's not Madden. You can't just keep adding stuff and all of a sudden the team will say yes. There are certain guys that will not be moved. There are certain teams that will not deal with you. And you even kind of saw it in Bean's press conference, or heard it, that he wanted to make a move. He was not happy that they did not get a move done, but he also knows that this team is good enough. Josh Palmer was another guy that I think will help this offense down the road, and I think he was just starting to get going before that injury. So I'm not mad. I guess I was a little bit disappointed, but looking back at everything, it's not something that I'm gonna hold up against the organization and say, oh, this was a failure, because at the end of the day, nobody that was moved, at least that was in the Bills' possibilities, was going to make that big of a difference, in my opinion. The only guy that, again, you might have been able to get that was big was Quinnen Williams. But again, it's the Jets. I don't think the Jets were going to deal him to Buffalo in the slightest. So it was unfortunate that two of the teams that had guys that were rumored maybe could have been moved in Waddle and Garrett Wilson are in your division, and they weren't going to deal with you. And it just sometimes happens to roll that way.
Yeah, like I said, I think also you're less willing to overpay this year because of the way you're structuring this sort of rebuild or retooling right now. You just don't have the willingness probably to spend these assets, and I agree with it. I understand not wanting to waste Josh Allen's prime. Totally understand where people are coming from in that camp. But at the same time, it's not really wasting because he's got the opportunity to win a Super Bowl here. And it's not like they're the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl. So, like, I'm not talking about, some team that's like, watch out, they're a sleeper. Like, no, this is the betting favorite right now to win the Super Bowl. Like, that's pretty good. I'll take it.
And I do also think that this offseason, I know people don't want to hear it, but this offseason is, you're losing a lot of the dead cap. If you extend, I know Milano might be a long shot, but if you bring back Milano on a small deal, and if you bring back Bosa, that gives you even more space. You have there's a lot this offseason they can do to really open up cap space, go big this next upcoming offseason, say, hey, next year is going to be our big all-in year again. And this year, I think, they said it is what it is, and we'll see what we can get done, but they couldn't just, unfortunately, get something done.
Yeah, they called out Coleman. Look, they said Coleman's got to, be a part of this thing. Roy brings it up here. Jacoby Myers may have been an upgrade there, but they're saying, all right, well, hey, Coleman's got the plans to be this piece in our offense, and he's going to have to execute and be that part that we need him to be. And it's on him to do it. So let's see what happens. I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet to give up on Keon either. Wasn't a fan of the pick on draft day. Akeem was there with me during that draft as well, and it's one of those things that I said all draft. Hey, we're probably gonna pick Keon Coleman. I really would rather not, and some of the reasons why are coming to fruition here. But at the same time, I don't think he's been used to his full potential either. I think there's ways he can be maximized, and we've been through that a bit. So let's get into the Miami week now and get into the injury report. Miami's got Rasul Douglas, D. Eskridge, and Chop Robinson with back-to-back DNPs in their practice. That Bradley Chubb limited, Ashton Davis limited, Ollie Gordon limited, Julian Hill limited as well. Ifedu Malifanu, Pride of Syracuse Orange, DNP, and then limited. Zach Sealer limited both days. And then you have Minka Fitzpatrick, Alec Ingold, Dante Trader Jr., and Jalen Waddle all showing up in the injury report, but practicing in full both days for the Dolphins. So Rasul Douglas, Chop Robinson not looking good. Not sure D. Eskridge matters much there. And then Benford, Epinesa with DNPs today. Epinesa has been in the concussion protocol, but Benford popped up yesterday with a limited based upon a groin injury, now DNP today. Sam Franklin with an illness, DNP today. I think he can probably get through that, or if he has to miss a game with being sick, so be it. Special teamer there. Shaq Thompson fighting a hamstring there. We'll see what his status is for this game as we get closer. Joey Bosa back to limited today. Cook upgraded from DNP to limited. Teron Johnson the same. Daquan Jones the same. So you got Bosa, Cook, Johnson, Jones all going from DNP to limited. Josh Palmer logged 2 limited practices. Bernard and Phillips full. What do you guys think from the Bills side, especially about the injury report here? Obviously a laundry list. Benford, Epinesa, the big DNPs here. Benford obviously surprising. And then you get some good news with Bosa, Cook, Teron Johnson, and Daquan Jones hopefully headed in the right direction. And like you mentioned earlier, Akeem, Josh Palmer hopefully working his way back.
Yeah. Like you said, it's a laundry list. Christian Benford is obviously the most worrisome on the list, right, with that groin injury. But again, we shouldn't look ahead or look past any team, but God forbid if he doesn't play, we should be able to find ways to beat the Miami Dolphins, even though, they have Tua and, they have some type of talent there. But I think we have enough guys, enough healthy bodies to beat the Miami Dolphins as long as we don't play down to competition.
Yeah. Akeem, you're taking every word out of my mouth today. Yeah, if there's any game that you should be able to get by, it should be this one. And Scott, no, you did not miss my depth chart segment.
I kind of just did it with the injury report. I sort of imitated that.
Well, we'll save that for when you're back, Scott. Don't worry. We'll go through the depth chart when you're back. But yeah, I will say there's good signs, there's bad signs. It's that point in the season. You're starting to get some guys healthier, starting to see some guys come back, and you're starting to see some guys go down. And it's that tough part of the year. It's that stretch of the year where you're just hoping none of them are long term. Christian Benford, if he needs to, don't push it, please. Just sit him for a week and let him get back to it. Same with Adrian Epinesa, guys like that. Shaq Thompson, just if it's a questionable one, let's not push it here. Let's hopefully get on. And we'll be fine then this week and go on. But yeah, you might see some guys have to step up. And Hairston might have to step up this week. Trey White might have to step up this week. But yeah, it's nothing at least majorly concerns me besides the guys that we already know that are going to be out for the year, or at least out for a while. Benford, we'll see how bad it is. Hopefully it's something that in a week or two he's back to full strength. But again, the Bills haven't really been giving a lot of information on how bad injuries are this year, and even when they are, sometimes it's overplayed or downplayed. So yeah, it's going to be something to watch with a guy like Christian Benford, Thompson, see how long it's going to take him to get back. And then those limited guys, you'll just have to watch as well to see, hey, is this going to be the week they're back? Or are they going to hold them off one more week and say, just wait till the week after there? We think we can go without you against Miami. Or some of these guys, limited wise, you might also see active, but you might not see playing their full snap percentage that they'll usually get. So like Palmer, I could see if he's active, I could see him being a guy that they're not going to jump him right up to his full percentage there. But yeah, nothing major for me, at least concern wise, that we haven't already known.
For sure. A couple of practice squad additions to Corey Couch and Kingsley Jonathan are added back to the roster here. I kind of like Kingsley Jonathan, obviously, because he went to Syracuse, and I'm a Syracuse homer, as you all know, and I'll be proud of that. Love the orange. So bringing back Kingsley Jonathan, look, he's contributed for this team, obviously. Hakeem actually sat down with Kingsley once for a little one-on-one segment, so that was nice of him to join the brand at some point and be on our airwaves here. So to Corey Couch, another guy in the secondary. Don't know what's going on with Dorian Strong other than things aren't looking good. So, adding a little bit to the secondary in that realm, and the D-line add was Kingsley Jonathan. I know those two aren't certainly exciting given the level of guys that we just lost, and potentially, Christian Benford being down right now, and then Michael Hoyt obviously being out for the season. So Kingsley Jonathan doesn't necessarily do it justice, but does add a little bit of depth and familiarity. So I think hopefully, there's not an addition to the injury report on the D-line moving forward here.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, hopefully the guys that are on the practice squad now can be of some help or some impact down the road if need be. I know Javon Solomon has took over that, or we've seen a little short stint of that role that he was in, taking over that Michael Hoyt role, and I've seen him be able to provide some type of presence there. So hopefully that could continue, and we don't have to go deep in that depth chart.
Yeah. I'm shocked that those two guys were signed. I will say Kingsley, not so much. Couch a little bit. I thought maybe Dane Jackson, just because, again, they like their system guys, the guys that know it. Not saying I'm disappointed that it was Couch over Jackson, but I think you might see over the next few weeks some guys get called up and elevated to see what they got. I'm gonna mispronounce the name, but a King Best. I'm not even going to try. The Tommy A, the new guy that they just signed to the practice squad, the rookie out of Maryland. Maybe he gets a shot in the next few weeks. Zion Logue, we've seen obviously get elevated before. Receiver wise, if Palmer can't go, or if another receiver goes down, I wouldn't be shocked if Christian Wilkerson gets a shot too, because he was another guy
that's not the guy we want to hear.
Oh, why?
You want to hear?
You
want to hear Gabe? You want to hear Gabe?
The receiver getting elevated
it will
this
probably,
week, guys.
hey, if Gabe's not fully ready to go,
it's time for Gabe Davis to join the Bills in an active role on the roster. Elevated. I've got Gabe and Dane Jackson being elevated this week. I'm excited.
Crazy part is Wilkerson's actually older than Gabe. Wilkerson's at 28. Gabe is 26, even though he has two NFL years of experience. So yeah, I just Wilkerson was a guy that I know a lot of people, at least during preseason and everything, said, hey, this guy is a good practice squad stash. But yeah, I'll probably be Gabe, but we'll see. Obviously, if Gabe is fully ready to go, it seems like he is ready to go. But if he isn't the one called up, then maybe that's a sign that, hey, he needs another week or two.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so let's talk about the Bills' offense here. If you haven't done so yet, please like and share this episode. If you're on Facebook, like and share with your friends there. Share it any groups that you're in as well. We'd appreciate all the shares we can get there. If you're on YouTube, like and share, and then subscribe to that YouTube channel. If you're not on YouTube, go over to YouTube, subscribe to the Built in Buffalo YouTube channel, give us some likes and shares there as well. And then on X, like and repost this episode, please, on that platform. And then come on over to YouTube again if you're on X and get into the comments section. We've got some fantasy starts and sits coming up. We got some score predictions. Would love to hear what you guys think about the offense and defensive keys of the game against Miami as well. But get on over there to the YouTube channel, subscribe to that, and give us some likes there. We are Triple Coverage Podcast, sponsored by Monster Energy Drink, the official energy partner of Built in Buffalo, and 716 Barbershop, a Broadway in Depew. Hit up the Cut app and get with Dennis and his folks over there and get your cut. Ben, take us through a little bit of the offensive preview here. What do you think one key to the Bills' offense of success is against Miami this week?
Yeah, I mean, first, I mean, like we said, we saw the offense do a very good job last week. Fourth quarter, I think you would have seen more if it wasn't just they were trying to win the game, close it out. But yeah, this offense is slowly, especially the passing game, I think slowly starting to get back to what Bills fans want to see. You saw a lot of it against Kansas City. Miami should be another game where if the passing game is needed, they should be able to get the job done. But you might not see them a ton if James Cook and Ty Johnson and Ray Davis can run all over them, because we've seen Miami's defense. Miami's defense has not been particularly great. I mean, this team has not been particularly great. So, Akeem, I want to ask you first, what is, for you, the number one key to this offense right now going into this game against Miami?
I think in our two losses against the New England Patriots and Atlanta Falcons, we hurt ourselves a lot, right? I think the penalties and turnovers, that when the Buffalo Bills start doing that, then teams like Miami start to build confidence throughout the course of the game, and that's when you can be had. That's when you can be beat. So I think we did a good job the last couple of weeks against the Carolina Panthers and the Kansas City Chiefs, limiting those penalties and turnovers. So I think we have to do the same going into Miami, because I once the Buffalo Bills start doing that, then that's where bad things happen, right? And the running game, we got to continue to show our identity, show our physicality in the trenches, and get the ball to James Cook in that run, in that rushing attack. I love James Cook now, right? But let's give some credit to Reggie Gilliam and Jackson Hawes. Those two guys are like extra linemen out there as on the offense when they get to block and they find their blockers and they get to the second and third level. So I really love what I see from them two specifically in terms of their physicality, blocking and open up rushing lanes where James Cook can choose to attack. So as long as the Buffalo Bills keep that identity, keep the penalties and turnovers down, I think this is going to be another victory Monday coming up.
Yeah, I like the fact that Hawes was on the field for 31 snaps, Reggie Gilliam 17 snaps, and you noticed it, man. You noticed it. I mean, Gilliam's been getting some snaps there the last few weeks. Jackson Hawes been up and down, but I like that, they went heavy on it. The way that they can throw the ball out of 12 and 13 personnel is going to be dangerous moving forward here. They got to continue to ride that. With the lack of receiver production from a guy like Keon Coleman and things like that, I don't think they necessarily need to replace Keon Coleman with another receiver. We can replace him, get him off the field if we can get others on the field with our heavier packages and things like that. And then maybe we can key in a little bit more as the season rolls on and getting our running backs involved in that passing game and keep obviously Khalil Shakir going and Dalton Kincaid. That rather than replacing Keon Coleman with a Jacoby Myers or another receiver, you can replace him by going a little bit heavier in your offensive formations and still get more production out of the offense as a whole. So that's my takeaway is, 12 and 13 personnel usage, and then maybe let someone else carry the rushing load. I mean, Cook's going to probably, if he's able to play, I'm assuming he's going to be able to play, but maybe not. I don't know for sure.
I believe on K.N. Adams, I believe I saw that he said he's good to go for Sunday.
Yeah, I just assume he's probably going to progress that way, being limited today, but we'll see, what happens with that. Even so, like, maybe Ray Davis can here's a game where you can get Ray Davis. Look, here's a game where you can get Keon Coleman in some intermediate routes, like Scott was talking about last week or the week before, on the way Keon Coleman can come over the middle on some of these intermediate plays. If you're going to do that to a team, this is the team to do it. So you really need to take advantage. Miami's defense isn't really good at anything. They're 28th in the league and 29th in the league in EPA per play given up, and really struggling against the pass and a little bit better against the run, but not much. So Miami's defense really struggling. You should be able to do basically whatever you want on Sunday. And so if that's the case, let's see getting some guys into roles that they maybe haven't been in a ton or haven't succeeded at a ton, and see if you can execute those here against Miami. It's a little bit of a test kitchen here for Joe Brady. Go out there and see what you can cook up.
I do, we were talking about weapons earlier, and I know some people are not happy with Bean getting weapons, but Jackson Hawes is a weapon. He might get one catch a game, if that, but he is a weapon because in this run game, he is as important as every other offensive line out there. Every time you watch film, every time you see big runs, he's usually one of the guys that is coming around and setting that play up. So Jackson Hawes is a weapon. I'd love to see Reggie Gilliam in there. I love to see what this run game is doing, and I have no reason to think they can't run all over Miami again this week, because Miami, their defensive line, man, is not what it was 5-6 years ago, where they might be able to make some noise against you with guys that they have lost over the past few years. So I have no doubt that this offense should be able to move the ball. It's just I think I'm gonna again agree with the game that you can't beat yourselves. That's the only way that this offense struggles, if they beat themselves with penalties, with turnovers. Take care of the football. Don't try to do too much. Don't try to get too cute with it. Just do what you need to do. Go in there, get the job done. I think this could be another one of those Jets games where you saw in week 2, right? Where Josh might not have to do much. Might be able to just get the job done fourth quarter. Hopefully we don't see Josh Allen on the field in the fourth quarter. But I think this offense, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't show anything crazy, obviously, unless you have to, but just take care of the football. So John brought it up here as well. Yeah, when Jackson Hawes makes at least one catch, Bills are undefeated. So he is a weapon. But this offense, just keep doing what you're doing. Anybody else got anything on the offense?
No, I think you nailed it. Nailed it.
I think the defense is the one that I think people might be a little bit more nervous about, just because, again, this Dolphins offense, even against Baltimore, they were moving the ball a little bit. They only put up, 6 points, I believe, in that game, but they were moving the ball. They got in the red zone sometimes. They got the ball deep into their territory, just couldn't finish it off, whether it was penalties, turnovers, going forward on fourth down, not getting it. So this offense, as bad as they maybe have, or as much as they haven't lived up to the hype, they do have weapons. They have HN, they have Waddle. Tua, when he's on, can be on and make some great plays. So, Lance, we'll start with you this time. What is the key to the defense against Miami offense?
I guess we got to not let them go balls deep on us. So we'll see how that works out. I think you got to handle Waddle and HN speed. Now, the Bills do struggle, obviously, in the running game, but they are near the top of the league in defense against the pass. So, the Bills' defense has been noted. We've got to work on this rush defense, but 4th overall in EPA per pass allowed. So, you really have to think that if Miami's going to they're going to need to throw the ball, likely playing from behind, and that's the hope that you have. But the Bills right in front of Miami at 22nd in EPA per rush at 0.00. So you do have to take care of Achane in the run game, hopefully. And I think the Bills are starting to do a really good job of that now. Obviously, losing Hoyt is tough because that gives you such a speed element along the defensive line. And you've got some other guys banged up here, but we'll see if Epinesa is able to make it back and how he's able to contribute. So, the biggest thing for me on defense is you got to get these guys keep them in front of you, and then tackle them as soon as they get the ball, and don't let them get ahead of steam here and break through some of your tackles, because the Bills have had propensity this year to allow guys to run through arm tackles and things like that. So you've got to hit them early and get them on the ground as soon as they touch the ball.
What do you got, Akeem?
I like it. I think y'all touched on mostly everything, right? Is Devon Achane. You have to limit him. You can't let him get loose and get to that second level and break away, right? So I think that's the key there. Another key that probably wasn't mentioned is just the scouting report has been the same year by year with Tua, right? Take away his first read. You take away Tua's first read, you make him go through his progressions, and then that's when things start to get a little hard for Tua. He was out there a couple of weeks ago. They asked him a question like, "Hey, why can't you get the ball to Jalen Waddle?" He said something like, "I couldn't see him." Right. So let's, which is crazy to say. He's been a little bit too brutally honest this year, and it's not in a positive way. Right. So if we could get that penetration up front, I think a point of emphasis this week with the defensive line. If you don't get there, get your hands up. All right, he's a smaller guy. Get your hands up. Let's get some batted balls if we can't get to the quarterback and let things happen that way. So I think if we just limit Achane from the big play, take away Tua's first read, and if we don't get the sack, get your defensive front to get their hands up. I think those would be some keys to success for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, the big thing, you can't allow those game-changing plays, those big plays. You can't allow Waddle to get past you. You can't allow HN to take a 5-yard or a 2-yard screen or what behind the line of scrimmage screen even and just take it the distance, right? And that loses what Lance said of you just got to handle their speed. It's going to be a lot of speed. Hairston will help, but it's only one guy, right? You got to be able to tackle. You got to be able to wrap up. So, I think if you can even just also keep Tua in the pocket, because I think we saw that the first game where they were getting pressure, but they were not keeping their gap integrity. And Tua, who's not even the most athletic guy, was getting out of the pocket, would eventually find someone with all the speed on their offense there. So I think keep him in the pocket and collapse it instead of trying to just get around them and maybe get that wide edge there. I think that's going to be a key as well. Just keep Tua in the pocket, make him either make that first throw or make him start panicking and have the pocket collapse on him. So, it's going to be this defense. I'm confident that they'll be able to get the job done. But I do think if this game is closer than people think it is, because I think Tua and HN and Waddle will have a good day, but it's all going to depend on Tua. And I think we've all seen that Tua can have some rough days in the NFL. So we'll see. But that's going to do it for the offense, defense. Lance, do you want to do the fantasy start and sit right now? Akeem, if you have players that you want to say start, sit, you can. We do this every week. We do players to start in fantasy, players just sit in fantasy when it comes to the Bills and the Bills game that week. Yep. So, Lance, who do you got to start and sit in fantasy this week for the Bills and Dolphins?
We're early enough on here before the Thursday night game, or if you have other games that you
if you have other games,
if you got your fantasy team and you really like a guy, feel free to throw that out there. I look at my fantasy team before we do this every day, like, oh, who do I like here? But I also try to keep it to the Bills game at times. So first, I'm going to give Scott's. He's texting me, messaging us in our group chat. So we'll let Scott have the first dibs here. He's going to start margaritas and he's going to sit fall weddings. So that's Scott's start and sit this week. He always kind of gets a little cheeky with us on our fantasy start and sit because he's not the biggest fantasy football fan. So appreciate the takes from down in Mexico, Scott. But I'm going to start the Bills defense and special teams, and at the same time, I'm going to start Devin Achane. And I know that's sort of counterintuitive, but you'll see when I make my score prediction why I think Achane can put up stats, but still not lead the Dolphins to a big scoring day. And so I think the Bills get a couple of takeaways here on Tua, and I'm going to sit the Dolphins defense and special teams and Jalen Waddle. So I think Max Hairston can hopefully sort of shadow Jalen Waddle a bit and neutralize him as much as possible. So, still looking at a midday, 4 catches for, 45, 55 yards. And, if you want to take that, go for it. But I think you should have some other options on your team that'll give you a little bit better than that. Whereas Achane, I expect to maybe score a touchdown and have some success running the ball a little bit and maybe some quick screens out of the backfield and stuff. So I like Achane to produce some fantasy points, but not enough for obviously Miami to have too much success. So who you guys got?
I'm gonna go ahead and go Dawson Kincaid. Dawson Kincaid, the breakout season is in full effect, and I think is going to continue against the Miami Dolphins. This was a guy that Had a touchdown in last week's game, and I think and overall, when we're talking about the Buffalo Bills receiving core and who's the number one receiver, I believe Khalil Shakir is, as a receiver, probably that number one option that Josh Allen trusts the most. But I think the most talented receiver overall on this team is Dalton Kincaid, and it's starting to show. So I got another big game for Dalton Kincaid where he possibly gets in. So I would definitely start Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with a weird start here. I'm going to go with Ali Gordon. I think this game could be a game where you see a little more Ali Gordon. You saw he had a touchdown against the Bills in the first game. If this is the game that people think it will be where the Bills can take over, by the second half, maybe you start to see a little more Ali Gordon, and he can get a guy that if you need a sleeper, then maybe Ali Gordon's your guy this week. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a little bit of like a sleeper pick there for my start. My sit, I'm actually gonna go with Khalil Shakir. I think Khalil Shakir will have a good game. I don't think he'll be bad by any means. I just think this could be a game where he finishes 4 catches for, like Lance said, maybe even with Waddle, like 4 catches, 50 yards, because they might just not need him that much. They might be able to run the ball. They might be able to take control and say, hey, we're good. We're going to throw other guys out there. We'll see Shavers out there more. Or, we'll see the guys that maybe don't get as many targets, get targets just to get them involved. So I'm going to go with sit Shakir and start Ali Gordon. Akeem, do you have a sit? If you don't, no worries, but do you have a sit at all for any of the games?
Excellent question. Do I have a sit for any games? Let me just go through my research right quick. It's interesting. I'm not sure as of yet. Come back to me.
Yeah, Tua Tagovailoa.
Well, yeah. If you're gonna give me one, is he a fantasy option at this point? Well, I don't.
Yeah. if he is a fantasy option for you, I feel very bad for you at this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
guys, we're gonna get into game
I
predictions
saw
now.
that.
So why don't you drop your game predictions in the comments here? We'll display some of them here and go through ours.
Before we do that,
before we do that, and Sandra, thank you for coming in here. Meet and greet with James Cook at Tops on South Park Ave, Hamburg,
Nice.
on November 11th from 3 to 4. So if you guys can make it out to South Park Ave, Tops in Hamburg, November 11th from 3 to 4 p.m., meet and greet with James Cook. So thanks, Sandra. Appreciate that. And if you guys you want to display your score predictions, please drop that in the comments. I'm going to go 44-10. Big game for the Bills here. I think that they've woken up, and I think they want to make a statement here, and that's why I said earlier, with the fantasy starts and sits, Achane maybe gets the lone touchdown for the Dolphins, and it's a very pedestrian day for most other folks on the Dolphins offense, and the Bills show out. So I even might mess around with Keon Coleman this week and see if you're really struggling for a flex player and you need a guy. Like I said, I hope that they can try to get him in intermediate space over the middle and things like that. The Dolphins just aren't good there, and let's see these guys scheme him open and be able to get him going a little bit. You could expect him to have 8 to 12 points maybe in fantasy this week.
I like that. Shoop, you want me to go?
Yeah, you go ahead.
34-16. I got the Bills. Obviously, the Bills over the Dolphins. I think that Ben Shoop made an excellent point in the beginning of the segment talking about Miami's ability to successfully move the ball against the Baltimore Ravens last week, even though it didn't result into points and a lot of mistakes happened. I think they would try to clean up those mistakes. They may have some success early, but overall, I think the Buffalo Bills are too much. The second half, Josh Allen is going to put his stamp on the game, and I think the Buffalo Bills will end up running away with it at the end. 34-16, Bills over the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a similar score. I'm going to go with 38-24, a little bit higher scoring on both ends. I think this could be a game where you potentially see a defensive touchdown from the Bills. And I think this could be a game where you get to the point again where it could be 38-14 going into the fourth, and Miami gets some points, or 38-17, and I think Miami will get the ball in the end zone once or twice, and then maybe a garbage time as well. So I do think either way, 38 to 24 is the closest score that we've had out of those three so far, and I still don't think it will seem close, even if it is that score. I think Bills will handle it. They'll take care of business and get the job done.
Right on. That about does it for us, folks. We really appreciate you listening there. If you also listen to us on the audio pod, thanks for sticking with us through that. And we'll be back next week in full force with another episode of the Triple Coverage Podcast heading into week 11 here. We'll be hopefully celebrating a win against Miami, and we'll see what the other games bring us as far as where the standings lie after week 10. So go out there, check out the Broncos dominating the Raiders here tonight, and we'll check out the Bills dominating the Dolphins on Sunday, and have a good stress-free weekend. Let's hope for that. So thank you to Monster Energy, the official energy partner of Built in Buffalo, and 716 Barbershop, Broadway in Depew. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.